Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning, Facebook world. How are you? So today it is Wednesday, the 9th of December, 9 o'clock in the morning in the UK. How are you? Are you ready for Christmas? Are you happy? How are you? So today I have the beautiful Irish goddess. Her name is Nuala O'Brien. She's stunning. And Nuala is one of our authors in When the Goddess Calls Volume 4. This one. So I'm going to read her bio and then I'm going to introduce you because she's just a goddess. She's a goddess. Nuala O'Brien is a daughter, a sister, a mum, and a mamog. So mamog is the Irish name for grandma. She has 2 children, a girl and a boy, and 2 grandchildren, also a girl and a boy. Nuala channels messages through psychic readings, her intuition, and her mediumship. She is clairsentience first, foremost, meaning she feels other people's feelings and connects with their energy. Then a clairvoyant, clairaudient, and clairognience. She feels, she hears, she sees, she knows. Without knowing how she knows, she just knows and she trusts her journey. She is a Reiki master. She is a theta healing practitioner. She's a meditation teacher, spiritual coach, and aromatherapist. She's been studying theta healing with the intent of doing all the courses with Tina. I love her at the Goddess Rooms. Nuala has always taken time out to meditate, even when she was a child. Although she didn't understand what it was at that stage in her life, coming from a large family, she required the time out from the chitter chatter in the home and would sit on the bench or out on the back of her home behind the sheds just to get some quality me time. She always felt she was different and unique. And Nuala was reared in the beautiful countryside of County Meath in Ireland. She moved to London and Essex for 27 years to return home to her homeland 6 years ago. Nuala is friendly, bubbly, and great fun to be with. She's also an old soul with amazing insights and wisdom. She is down to earth and helpful, and with positive energy. She is unique, not like most people, engaging in inspirational, very spiritual, well-connected, generous, and she truly is a free spirit. Nuala has a zest for life, self-growth, and health, and by sharing her gifts with a wider audience, she hopes to instill this into others so that they may believe in the power of themselves. Nuala makes people feel at ease, focusing only on the person she engages with one moment at a time. She's open, direct, and honest, and she says it how it is. And oh my God, does she speak her truth and her mind. When Nuala allows her intuition to flow, she is more powerful than she realizes. Nuala is a naturally gifted healer who radiates a warmth that lifts people's confidence, and she inspires their creative energy. Nuala is an avid reader, always learning, trying different avenues, giving her an extensive holistic insight. She helps others to look at the bigger picture, to step out of their own way, to see things clearly or from a different perspective, to believe in the unknown. She believes that a body can heal itself by letting go. Nuala's vision is to help others better themselves and to be presently living in the moment. She helps others understand the physical and mental and emotional pain, sharing how she managed to attain this for herself and show them the light to the brighter future, to heal, to grow, to be a true, authentic self. With her ability to learn, she aspires to aid others to live to their full potential. Nuala loves the outdoors. She walks by the beach and through nature with trees and woodlands, practicing meditation and Tai Chi. Nuala also writes songs and poetry, as her love for music and the words excel in this area, along with her positive and motivation for the soul. To inspire others is to feel alive, liberated and carefree, loving and fully expressing their inner beauty. So Nuala's, you can connect with Nuala. She also works with the Young Living essential oils. Her Facebook and LinkedIn is Transform into Your Uniqueness. All her details on the back of her bio. Wow. So I would like to introduce you to the glorious, glamorous goddess, the Irish goddess, Nuala O'Brien. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Tina. And hello, everybody. How are you all today? Obviously, Tina has probably told you everything there. So I'm back in Ireland now. I lived in London and Essex for a long time, moving over and back 2 or 3 times. Spiritual journey, I suppose, started over there. Didn't realise I had the gift when I was younger here, but nobody really does, do they? You know, and we all have it. We just need to tap into it and learn how to as well, because that's the other thing. It's learning how to tap into it, you know, and with guides and spirits and that from above and from the angels down here, like yourself, Tina, you know, and all the sisters and that, and the people I've met through my journey. I used to go to all the holistic fairs when the kids were young in London. God, I dragged them everywhere. They had crystals all over the house themselves. I was into feng shui, and I had the whole house done in feng shui and just positive chi everywhere, you know. And I've always, I don't know what it is, but I've always been able to turn a negative into a positive. So from any bad experience or that, I've always turned it into a negative, and suppose
into a positive, from a negative to a positive. Yeah.
Always, you know. So I suppose my journey started out just when the kids were younger, really, and my mum never took medication in her life, still hasn't to this day. She's 82 this Christmas.
Incredible.
And yeah, fantastic, like, and she's healthy and everything, which is lovely. So I suppose that was brought down onto me, and I done the same when the kids were young, and I got those Mind Body Spirit books. Do you remember those? And oh my God, went straight in on them and learned everything I possibly could. Loved the aromatherapy oils from back then, absolutely loved them. So I learned all the properties, what the benefits were. My son had asthma, so his chest is better when he's over in England anyway, because the weather here is so damp. And I would make meals and stuff like that with what I learned, benefits from that. I learned about herbs and loved a bit of gardening as well. So tried my arm in that as well, you know. I'll try everything to see. And I
beautiful. So you've worked with essential oils, because people, I mean, more people were starting to come over to the holistic side and to see about the essential oils. There was a time back where people were like, oh my God, I'm not, you know, they didn't quite understand the essential oils and the quality, especially obviously the Young Living, the pure oils without any synthetics, you know, these straight from the plant. So you've worked with these oils and you've worked with herbs. I mean, you know, a true what we would call an inner witch, really, herbalist, essential oils, you know, working with nature, like a priestess works with nature. So you've worked with Mother Earth, you've worked with nature, and you've always done that. So what did you create your own herbs, your own blends for things? What is it? How? And I love the way you did your feng shui as well. You was always in tune, Nuala, before the whole world was in tune.
I didn't know what it was myself.
No,
They used to call me a witch at school, didn't they? You know, so it was like, and my friend, we were walking on the bog in the summer, and she goes, "Why do they call you a witch, Nuala?" And I'm going, well, years ago I used to think, you know, black hair, long nails, and obviously I bit mine back then, and I had the long blonde hair, and it was just, I used to say things, and I thought, sure, everybody understood that, you know, and then it'd happen, and they'd be going, "Yeah, you are a witch," you know, and I'd be like, okay. You know, what was that? So I suppose, I realized that recently as well, that I have been always in tune, you know. But herbs wise, I used to cook all my own meals. Everything was prepared at home. Everything. That I was a stay-at-home mum when my kids were younger, because when I moved to England I had nobody, so I reared them on everything natural that I could possibly find. I got into them, so they were never ever on medication, never. And,
yeah, because of the herbs and the
yeah,
oils.
and the
Nuala,
oil. Yeah.
tell us about your childhood. You came from beautiful Ireland. I mean, I'm half Irish myself, and I spent my childhood there. Like every summer holiday, we'd be packed off to Ireland. So tell us about your childhood and why you decided to leave. Why did you decide to leave to leave Ireland, come to the UK, live in the UK, and then go back to Ireland, which I think is incredible. I mean, I'm looking at going back to Ireland quite a lot now. soon as I can travel over there. But yeah, so tell us about your journey. Why and how did you grow up in Ireland? What was it like growing up in Ireland?
But basically, I grew up in the countryside, so yeah, we lived with my nan and gran for a few years. I think it was about 6.5, and then moved down to my mum's place on 23rd of March 1973. And I think I explained this in the book. My sister was killed at the top of the lane 6 weeks later. She'd only just started school, and she was only 4.5. And like, mum never really spoke about it, or dad, and that, you know. My mum used to always go to her nan's, and dad drank for 3 years solid, basically. Come home some days with no car, you know, to be in the ditch or whatever. But that was their way of dealing with the traumas, you know. So.
And how old were you? How old were you when your sister died?
6.5. 6.5, yeah.
Were you with your sister?
No, I was actually still at school, and dad was still at work. Mum was in the house, and my mum's dad, and mum was looking out the bedroom window, and she seen the accident, basically. So she ran out the back door without even telling my granddad, and ran up and lifted Mary up into her arms, and sure, God love Mummy, you know, she thought she'd only broken an arm or so. And the gentleman that knocked her down, he brought her into the hospital and that. And yeah, Mum had seen her spirit leaving at 5:15 that day, and your poor old dad, he had to be sedated, you know. He couldn't handle it, really, you know. So that was traumatic for them. They were like only 36 and 37. They were only young themselves, you
Yeah.
know. Dad, you know, it was very, very hard. And there was times there, you know, you think, God, why? But to be honest, all the brothers and sisters, thank God, I've never been in an accident myself, but they've all been in accidents, and they've walked away from them. So she's been looking after everybody since, you know.
That's a
So,
beautiful way to see it, that she's been
yeah.
looking after all of you since.
Oh, totally. Like, some of them have really had really, really bad accidents and just got out and walked away. Like, some have had broken, one of the brothers has a scar here, another one a scar on the back, you know, but they walked away from them. So yeah, she's there protecting them, you
Oh, and
know.
she was younger than you.
She was, yeah, she was
And,
just a year and a half below me.
I mean, that's just, you know, and the impact on yourself. How did you evolve from that?
Well, I suppose that's probably when my awakening happened with the trauma, because that's usually what it is, isn't it? And I didn't realize it back then, you know, and because obviously she was the only one in the family, and still is the grandkids. And this in my mum on my mum's side and my dad's side, and there's 56 on one side and 23 cousins on the other. So we come from a large family, you know. And yeah, I suppose I just kind of went into myself, really. I grew up very quick because my mum was like, you're old enough, you know, and that sort of way. And you never got the cuddles and the hugs, you know. But sure, now times are different, and I understood what was going on. I don't know why, I suppose from the trauma. And my dad, I remember him crying in the corner of the room, and I gone over and asking him how he was, and he's like crying his heart out, God love him. And he just said he banged the hammer off his thumb when he was nailing the nails into the ground, because we'd have moved into the house and it was still being decorated. And Asher, I knew right well, do you know what I mean? Even at that young age, I went over, give him a hug. I says, you'll be all right, Daddy, you know, you'll be all right. And he's like, you know, but they took it very badly, you know. So I kind of took on the mammy role, if you know what I mean. So they used to call me the mammy in school and the mammy in me works and stuff. I'm like, okay, you know, so it was kind of, I had to grow up quick, you know. I was very independent.
You were very independent, and you, from there, you took care of your brothers and sisters. I remember you telling me that, you know, you used to take care of, you became the surrogate mother at 6.
Yeah, and even when I'd be in at school, the master would come in, he'd go, Nuala, can you come in here and look after your brothers? And I'd be like, what? You know, because I was still a kid myself, really, wasn't I? You know?
Of course.
Yeah, and I remember then one summer I was in 4th class and I was having a fag with me mum. And oh, this is great. Yeah, I'd have 6 weeks off, you know, in the summer. She goes, no, you won't. You're starting work on Tuesday. I was like, what? I was like, really? So it was kind of, my life was, you know, organized by, I suppose, the trauma and that. And you just had to help out, really, when you were younger, didn't you? The Irish way of doing things, you know.
It is.
She was brought up to do that. I was brought up to do that.
So you met someone, Nuala. You got married and had 2 children.
Yeah, I kind of got pregnant before marriage, so yeah. And my dad said, I can laugh at it now, but at the time it was terrifying. And because a younger cousin had got married, pregnant younger as well, and he said, if you ever come home pregnant before you get married, I'll shoot you, I'll blow your head off. And I'm like, oh my God. And I know he had a shotgun, like, so that was it. You know, we used to do the pheasants and the rabbits and stuff, so I was like, okay, fine. And when I did get pregnant, I told my mom, and it was like, what's the neighbours going to say? What's the neighbours going to say? What's the relations going to say? I'm so, I don't care what they say, you know. So anyway, I didn't tell my dad, and off we headed. We went to London, had my daughter over there. And while I was there, my mum came to visit, and then that's when she told me she had a child before marriage and gave her up. So his family wanted me to have an abortion, and no. And my mum wanted me to give my daughter up. You must be joking. That's my baby. I went through those 9 months, and I'm carrying her and I'm keeping her. And I did lose, through the pregnancy, I did lose a twin, basically, for her. But I believe that her little son is that child again, you know. So, and he's an adorable little thing, you know, Casey. So yeah, then my partner, at the time, he got in the army, and we went back to Ireland. So I thought, we're going to get married now in the army uniform, the whole lot, do you know what I mean? The fairy tale wedding sort of thing. And it was like 2 weeks before the wedding, my dad goes, please don't marry him. And I'm like, okay. And I thought, nah, it's too late. We're going ahead with this. But I think on the morning of the wedding, if he'd turned around and said it in the car to me, I probably would have said, yeah, let's not bother. You know, so got up to the church, and there was the red carpet. And I walked up the aisle crying, thinking this man's not going to love me like my dad did, you know. But yeah, but fatherly love is different, isn't it? And so we went through it. His brother was up there nudging him, telling him not to do it, and we done it. We went through it. So we stood by each other, you know, and I'll never ever have a bad word to say about him, you know. I know he cheated. You know, God, straight away he'd come in, like, what's going on? And then we'd split up for months or whatever, then we get back together, and same thing again, you know. I'd be going, hang on a minute, what are you doing this, you know what I mean? But that happened over the years, and then we opened up a business together, which was very, very successful in London. And they're in Bethnal Green. Motorcycle training school, working with a load of lads that, God, the crack was 90, do you know what I mean? And the women, loads of women coming in riding bikes and that as well. But I didn't really see him, and then we worked together, and there was just too much, basically, you know. But he fell in love with somebody, going and, you know, whenever being with other women didn't bother me, but when he fell in love with somebody, that was it. Yeah. So yeah, I went out and met her and all. We went for meals and all together when he was seeing her, and then she was deported back to her country, and he met then another lovely lady when we'd met her 5 years beforehand, and when we split up, he got with her. But oh my God, she's lovely, absolutely lovely. She's perfect for him, absolutely perfect. They, you know, they can give the affection and stuff to each other that we couldn't have together. So we obviously knew there was something wrong there, you know. And she's been so good to my children, and her children are similar age to to my kids. So yeah, that's been,
that's beautiful, Nuala, to hear you speak like that. It's really it's a refreshing change. It's beautiful, really lovely. So you came to England with your husband, you had your children. So what did you why did you decide to go home?
Why did I decide to go back to Ireland this time? I was doing a lot of spiritual work, and basically I started when Dad died. Basically, it kind of, I travelled over and back so this is going to be hard now for me to say. I travelled over and back from the November to the Christmas, over and back every week, 2 days, 3 days here, there, in Ireland and England, in Ireland and England. And I suppose when Dad died, it really shook me to the core. And it was only like 3 years after the divorce and that. And sure, I suppose I was going out with somebody within that time, so my mind was occupied. So everything kind of hit me together. And the following Christmas, I came home, which would have been 2013. Yeah. The Christmas of 2013, I actually came home to say goodbye to the family, because I was going back to England and I wasn't coming back. And my brother had said something to me while I was home, and I thought, oh my God. And I went back and I thought, no, I can't do this. I have to stay here. I've got something to do important in this world. And I thought of my kids, put my kids first in that sense, and I put my family first, and thought, no, they would be devastated if I wasn't here. And I thought I've got more to do on this world. So I came back home on the 23rd of February, and it was like that, a split decision. Basically, I had decided within one night, I asked my daughter to bring me to my ex-husband, and he got the flight back for me the next day. I came back, sure, my family thought I was nuts. I'd been drinking 16 to 20 cups of coffee, black coffee. I wasn't sleeping. I hadn't slept for 5 days. I went into hospital for a week. And yeah, I had a breakdown, basically. And best thing I ever did, because I was away from everybody and I had a free time to myself and nobody to disturb me. I took me a year then to kind of get back to myself, and I went and I done the aromatherapy course, which I absolutely threw myself into, complementary course. So I learned massage, reflexology, Indian head massage, anatomy and physiology, because I'd been done the Reiki in England, and I'd seen grey matter, and I didn't actually know what the grey matter was. So I thought, right, learn the anatomy and physiology, and that kind of brought it out even more as well, So done that, worked in a spa for 2 years, absolutely loved it. I was in half an hour earlier and you couldn't get me to go home. Absolutely loved it. And doing the treatments, there was people going, Nuala, what did you do there now? And I'm going, I don't know. And when we done the Reiki, I was like, or the Theta last weekend, it was like, that's what it was. I was like, oh, okay, right. So I've learned now what was it, because that's how you do, you learn it as you go along. But obviously I didn't realise that that's what was happening. Like there was one lad, and he'd been getting massages every 2 weeks, and he says to me, he said, put the Reiki in, whatever you have to do today. And I says, yeah, okay, done the massage. And when we were finished, he started crying, and he was like 45 or something. And I said, what's going on here, like? And he says, I don't know what you've done. He says, but I couldn't grieve from my mum for 30 years. And it was just like you went and lifted it, and it was
lifted him up and opened it out. I totally get that, Nuala. I mean, I from my breakdown, I went on a course straight after that, and I did exactly what you did. This was in my 30s, and I remember about 6 weeks into the course, because we'd have all these sessions, and I felt like I was going to die. I just, it was a massive healing crisis, but it was all the trauma that I was releasing from my breakdown. So yeah, I hear you. I understand what you felt like. So Nuala, it's been incredible to talk to you today. Absolutely beautiful. A true Irish goddess. I have so much respect for you, and I honor you as a true sister and a goddess. So if you would like to read the rest of Nuala's story. I mean, I don't know if you just cried. I had to hold that back then because I could feel so many similarities that I've experienced to Nuala, the Irish mother, and the rules you have to live by, especially getting married if you're pregnant and being shamed. I recognise that and resonate with that, I should say. But Nuala's story is in When the Goddess Calls. And like I say, it's a collection of powerful stories from women awakening on their spiritual path. Now, there is no space for judgment. She is an incredible woman. Please read her story, get in contact with her, even have a reading with her. We have Zoom now. So thank you, Nuala, for coming in. Thank you, my darling.
Thank you very much, Tina. Thank
God
you.
bless.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Thank you.
See you tomorrow morning, everybody. Bye-bye.
You will. Right.